You're on a journey of growth, seeking deeper meaning, yearning for connection with something larger than yourself. You're drawn to individuals who exude wisdom, who speak of enlightenment, who seem to hold the keys to spiritual understanding. You open your heart, eager to learn and evolve. But what if the very person you trust to guide you on the sacred path is not a beacon of light, but a soul weaver? I'm not talking about benevolent gurus or genuine spiritual teachers. The soul weavers I'm talking about are masters of manipulation, who use spiritual language, concepts, and practices to weave intricate webs of control around you. They prey on your vulnerability, your desire for connection, and your longing for purpose, all to serve their own ego, gain power, or exploit you in various ways. Like spiders spinning silken traps, they create an illusion of safety and wisdom, only to ensnare and drain your spiritual energy. This is a subtle and often insidious form of abuse. Because it operates in the realm of faith and belief, it can be incredibly difficult to recognize until you're deeply entangled. The pain of realizing that your spiritual guide is actually a predator can be shattering. But what you're feeling is real and it's valid. It's not just a test or a spiritual challenge. It's a dangerous form of manipulation, and it's time to see the signs. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 key signs that you're dealing with a soul weaver. These are the behaviors that are often dismissed as spiritual intensity, tough love, or unconventional wisdom. But trust me, recognizing these patterns can save you immense spiritual and emotional harm. So, stay with me until the end. Don't look away, because knowing how to spot a soul weaver could be the most important lesson on your spiritual journey. Sign 1. The Divine Gatekeeper. Let's begin with the most alluring and deceptive tactic of the soul weaver. I call this person the Divine Gatekeeper. Their primary strategy is to position themselves as the sole conduit to truth, enlightenment, or a higher power, implying that you can only access these things through them. The Divine Gatekeeper will speak with an air of absolute authority, often quoting sacred texts or sharing exclusive insights that seem profound and life-changing. They create an environment where their interpretation is the only valid one, and any questioning or dissenting opinions are met with dismissal, judgment, or even accusations of being ungrounded or spiritually immature. They establish a hierarchy where they are at the top, holding the keys to spiritual advancement, and you are dependent on their guidance. The psychological mechanism at play here is the exploitation of your innate human desire for meaning and connection to something larger than yourself. By presenting themselves as a unique intermediary between you and the divine, they create a powerful dependency. You begin to believe that your spiritual progress is entirely contingent on their approval and instruction. This stifles your own intuition and your ability to discern truth for yourself. The Divine Gatekeeper often fosters a cult-like atmosphere, discouraging critical thinking and encouraging blind faith in their teachings. They might claim to have special powers, unique revelations, or a direct line to God or the universe, setting themselves apart as uniquely gifted and indispensable. A quick check-in for you. Do you feel like you need this person's constant validation to feel spiritually connected? Are you discouraged from seeking other perspectives or questioning their teachings? Do they make you feel like you would be lost or spiritually stagnant without their guidance? If so, you might be entangled in the web of a Divine Gatekeeper. Sign 2. The Love Bomber with Strings. The second sign is a particularly disarming tactic, often used early on to create a powerful bond. I call this person the Love Bomber with Strings. They overwhelm you with excessive attention, praise, and apparent affection, creating a sense of instant connection and making you feel incredibly special. But this love comes with hidden conditions and expectations. The Love Bomber with Strings will shower you with compliments about your spiritual potential, tell you how gifted and intuitive you are, often mirroring back qualities you yearn to possess, and make you feel like you are a chosen one within their spiritual circle. They create an intense, almost euphoric atmosphere that feels incredibly validating. However, this love is conditional. It is contingent on your unwavering loyalty, your unquestioning acceptance of their teachings, and your willingness to prioritize their needs and their spiritual community above all else. The psychological mechanism at play here is the manipulation of your deep human need for love and belonging. By creating an intense feeling of acceptance and validation, they bypass your critical thinking and make you more susceptible to their influence. Once you are hooked on this feeling of being special and loved, they begin to subtly introduce their demands and expectations. This love bombing is a tactic to create a strong emotional dependency that makes it harder for you to leave or question their authority later on. The strings attached to this love might involve excessive financial contributions, mandatory participation in time-consuming activities, or the severing of ties with people outside their spiritual circle who might question their influence. Here's a practical tip. Reflect on the beginning of your relationship with this spiritual figure. Did it feel like an instant, intense connection? Were you showered with excessive praise and attention? Did this feeling of being special come when unspoken or spoken pressure conform to their beliefs and practices without question? If so, you might be caught in the web of a love bomber with strings. Sign 3. The spiritual gaslighter. The third sign is a deeply damaging tactic that erodes your trust in your own inner wisdom. I call this person the spiritual gaslighter. They systematically deny, distort, or reinterpret your spiritual experiences, intuition, and perceptions, making you doubt your own connection to the divine and your ability to discern truth. The spiritual gaslighter will dismiss your insights as ego-driven, your doubts as signs of lack of faith, and your personal spiritual experiences as misinterpretations or even demonic interference, unless, of course, they align with their own teachings. They create a reality where their understanding of spirituality is the only valid one, and your own inner guidance is unreliable or even dangerous. The psychological mechanism at play here is the exploitation of your vulnerability on your spiritual journey. You are seeking truth and understanding, and the spiritual gaslighter uses this to undermine your confidence in your own ability to find it. By making you doubt your own spiritual compass, they increase your dependence on their interpretations and their authority. They essentially become the sole arbiter of your spiritual reality. This can lead to a profound sense of confusion, isolation, and a loss of trust in yourself. You might start to question your own sanity or feel like you are spiritually flawed because your experiences don't always align with their teachings. This erosion of self-trust is a key tool for maintaining control. My challenge for you: think about times when you shared a personal spiritual experience or intuition with this person. Were your insights validated and explored, or were they dismissed, reinterpreted, or used as evidence of your spiritual shortcomings? Do you feel increasingly uncertain about your own connection to the divine and reliant on this person's interpretations? If so, you're likely being gaslighted by a spiritual gaslighter. Sign 4. The energy drainer disguised as healer. The fourth sign is a subtle but significant indicator that you are in the presence of a soul weaver. I call this person the energy drainer disguised as healer. While they may present themselves as someone who offers guidance, healing, or support, your interactions with them consistently leave you feeling depleted, exhausted, and emotionally drained. The energy drainer disguised as healer often creates situations where you are constantly giving your time, your energy, your resources, your emotional support, while they offer little in return, often framing their needs as spiritually significant or divinely ordained. They might demand excessive amounts of your time for spiritual practices that primarily benefit them, constantly seek your emotional support for their own spiritual struggles, or pressure you into making financial contributions to their ministry or community. The psychological mechanism at play here is a form of spiritual parasitism. The soul weaver, often lacking genuine inner resources or a healthy sense of self, unconsciously or consciously feeds off the energy and devotion of their followers. They create a dynamic where your well-being is secondary to their perceived spiritual needs or their agenda. You might find yourself constantly prioritizing their needs over your own, feeling guilty for taking time for yourself, or experiencing a persistent sense of fatigue and emotional exhaustion after spending time with them, even if the interaction seems superficially positive. Take a moment to reflect. How do you typically feel after interacting with this spiritual figure? Energized, inspired, and supported, or drained, anxious, and obligated? Do you find yourself consistently giving more than you receive in this relationship? Are your own needs and boundaries respected? Or do you feel subtly or overtly pressured to constantly give more? If you consistently feel drained after your interactions, you might be dealing with an energy drainer disguised as healer. Sign 5. The boundary violator in sacred garb. The final and perhaps most crucial sign is a consistent disregard for your personal boundaries, often masked by spiritual justifications. I call this person the boundary violator in sacred garb. They will repeatedly push your limits, disregard your no, and encroach upon your personal space. Physically, emotionally, financially, or even sexually, often framing their actions as being for your spiritual growth or part of a divine plan. The boundary violator in sacred garb operates under the guise of spiritual authority, making it difficult for you to object or assert yourself without feeling like you're questioning the divine or hindering your own spiritual progress. They might pry into your personal life without invitation, make inappropriate physical contact under the guise of healing, pressure you into financial contributions that make you uncomfortable by invoking spiritual consequences, or even manipulate you into sexual situations by claiming it's part of a sacred practice or a necessary step on your path. The psychological mechanism at play here is the ultimate abuse of power and trust. The soul weaver exploits the inherent power imbalance in the student-teacher dynamic and uses spiritual beliefs to justify their harmful actions. They count on your fear of spiritual repercussions or your desire to please them to override your own sense of what is right and safe. Any attempt to assert your boundaries will likely be met with resistance, guilt-tripping, or accusations of being resistant to spiritual guidance or lacking faith. Ask yourself this: does this person consistently push your limits or make you feel uncomfortable? Do they respect your no, or do they try to persuade or pressure you to do things you don't want to do, often using spiritual reasoning? Have they ever violated your personal space or made you feel unsafe, either physically or emotionally? If you consistently feel like your boundaries are being crossed and dismissed, especially in the guise of spirituality, you are in serious danger and need to recognize the boundary violator in sacred garb. Reclaiming your spiritual sovereignty, breaking the spell. Recognizing these signs is a first crucial step in protecting your spiritual well-being and reclaiming your sovereignty. Once you start to see these patterns of behavior, you can no longer ignore them. But what do you do next? The most important thing is to trust your own inner guidance. Your intuition is your most powerful spiritual compass. If something feels off, it likely is. Don't let anyone tell you that your feelings are invalid or that you are misinterpreting your own spiritual experiences. Secondly, set clear and firm boundaries. This is your spiritual armor. You have the right to say no, to protect your time, energy, and resources, and to define what feels right and safe for you on your spiritual path. Thirdly, seek counsel from trusted sources outside of this person's influence. Talk to friends, family members, therapists, or other spiritual teachers who are grounded, ethical, and respect your autonomy. Finally, and this can be the most challenging step, create distance. This might mean limiting contact, stepping away from the community, or even cutting ties completely. Your spiritual and emotional safety is paramount. Remember, true spiritual growth is about empowerment, not dependence. It's about connecting with your own inner wisdom and your own understanding of the divine, not blindly following someone else's dogma or agenda. You have the power to break free from the web of the soul weaver and reclaim your spiritual sovereignty. Trust yourself, honor your boundaries, and seek authentic sources of guidance. What we discuss today is a crucial aspect of spiritual discernment. It's about recognizing that not everyone who speaks of light and love has your best interests at heart. Protecting your spiritual well-being is just as important as protecting your physical and emotional health. If this video has resonated with you, if you've recognized any of these signs in your own life, please hit that like button. Share this video with anyone you think might be vulnerable to spiritual manipulation. You could be helping them see the truth and reclaim their power. And if you want to learn more about cultivating spiritual discernment, setting healthy boundaries, and navigating the complexities of the spiritual path, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We release new videos every week packed with valuable insights and practical advice. Thank you for watching.